Yes, thanks for joining us today. Today we want to talk about joy versus happiness, particularly as it relates to family caregivers. Um, family caregiving is a tough job. You know this because you're doing it. It's a lot of times there's a lot of things that's on a day-to-day basis that it is not very happy, but there's a lot of joy in it. So, Cindy, tell us a little bit about your input on happiness versus joy.
Okay, so I've got this app on my phone. Anytime that I need help with a word, I go to my app. And it's a thesaurus and a dictionary. So what I did was I looked up first the word joy in the thesaurus. So synonyms for joy are pleasure, emotion, positive stimulation, delight, and experience. And I know you have each one of those every day as a caregiver. Now, granted, there are hard things. You have many, many tasks as a caregiver, and it's not always sunshine and joy. But in each day, you experience emotion, feeling, delight, positive stimulation, and pleasure. I know you do. So I want you to journal those things, even if it's just one little element of joy today. Please journal that. I looked back the other day and I saw something. Oh, this is hard to talk about, but it was I'm not going to talk about it.
Okay.
It was about one specific day with Mom, and was trying to get a hospital bed, and it was so frustrating. And I was actually reading the thoughts that I had written down about this day. About I had to get one doctor to prescribe the bed itself, the mattress, no, the bed that would hold the mattress, and then the other doctor to prescribe the mattress, and then find a medical provider that Medicare allowed to pay for this bed. It wasn't the first one that I talked to, but I did finally find one, and then they had one in stock, and they brought it out, and long story short, a lot of stress that day. But also at the end of the day, our daughter-in-law called, and she said she was in town. She wanted to bring the kids by to see Grandma Tilly. And I thought, yes. So here they come, little bitty grandma's, my mama's great-grandchildren. And boy, when they walked in the door, her face just lit up. She was just like a Christmas tree, just smiling from ear to ear. It was just joy to see her, so excited. So we had a hard day, but there was one little element of joy. And when I wrote that down and looked at it, I thought, wow, I never would have remembered how horrible that was. I did remember the joy because I remember, when they'd come over and see her, how excited she'd be. So, joy is true emotion, positive stimulation, and experience. Now, the dictionary says that joy is the emotion of great happiness. So in church this morning, Brother Stephen was talking about the difference between joy and happiness. And I listened and I thought, okay, in that context, I understand that. How does that apply in my life? How does it apply in my caregivers' lives? Joy is something you find within, deep, it's in your heart. It is the reason you're doing what you're doing. It should bring you joy, even though it may not bring you happiness every day. Happiness is more of a surface. The thesaurus said happiness is feeling, it's an emotional state. So it's more surface. The dictionary says that happiness was the emotion experienced in a state of well-being. So that's just kind of surface happiness. I find happiness when I plant something in my garden, or when I plant a new fruit tree. That is happiness. But for me, joy these days is when the grandchildren come over and they give you a great big hug. It's one of those hanger-oner hugs. It's true joy. Joy for me when my mom was here was making sure that she had everything she wanted and everything she needed, and she had a really good quality of life. So, read that.
So, this is Cindy's journal in the morning. Uh, and I almost hate to go into this because we're going to mess up your perfect talk.
But this was okay. I wrote this down in case I wasn't able to be there. I did get a really bad cold one time, and I couldn't be there a couple of days. And then we had to go out of town a couple of days. So I wrote down in pretty good detail, which some people may think is obnoxious, but it was exactly what I knew my mama needed and wanted. So it brought me joy to make sure she was going to get what she wanted and what she needed if I wasn't there.
This is just an example of what we call a daily records journal. And, if you have a caregiver come in to substitute, especially if they don't know your mom, they don't know you, they haven't been around the family, you can't automatically assume that they're going to do everything the way you would want them to do it. Matter of fact, you can't assume anything. So the more detailed that you have things, like if how to make a cup of coffee that your mom would like. Well, if the caregiver doesn't know, what's she going to do? She's going to make the coffee like she likes, not like your mom likes. So just little things like this could bring happiness or hopefully joy to a person's life. But this little example, in the morning, plug in the coffee pot, put a white Corning cup beside it. Don't turn the coffee pot on until you're ready to wake Mom up.
I wanted to make sure it was warm, right?
White coffee cup, put 2 teaspoons of Miralax, 1 teaspoon of water till dissolved. When she's ready to sit down at the table, pour 2/3 cup coffee, 1/3 cup creamer. Cindy's mom liked a little bit of coffee with her creamer, so
Just a little.
2/3 cup coffee, 1/3 cup creamer, and pour half of that into another cup that she can lift both cups. It's difficult for her to lift one full cup of coffee. So
Right.
this is a lot of detail, but just details like this make all the difference in a person's life. Just little stuff.
And that that too helps answer one of our questions. What is caregiver planning and how does it work? This is one example, and some people may think it's extreme, but I think it's critically important. If you know what your loved one wants and what they need and what brings them joy, what brings you joy, make sure if you're not going to be able to be there because you do need a break once in a while, and if someone else is going to be there, make sure that the schedule is kept and everything is kept so that your loved one doesn't experience a disruption. About that question.
Okay, well, and this is more of a comment along the lines of what we was talking about. One of our readers wrote in to say, care is not just meals or bathing. It's not sitting our loved one in front of the TV. What's important is sharing photos and memories of music for the patient, other fun activities like a simple craft or just folding small laundry pieces like dish towels or washcloths, or like Cindy's mom shelling pecans by the bushel basket full. She loved that. That's what
That was
brought her
she
joy.
loved that.
So what brings your loved one joy? And if you're there, I know you do everything that you can do to brighten their day, to lift their spirits. If you can't be there, the little tip for today, just take some time to write a few little things down that will make a difference in their day, make a difference for them, and help them throughout their day. Because they got it tough. I mean, we don't think about that sometimes. We think it's the other way around, but your loved one, they're going through some tough stuff. They really are. And a lot of little things, a lot of times is big things for them. So anything else you have to...
We talked a little bit about joy is putting others before you, and that's what you're doing as a caregiver. You're putting them, their wants, their needs before you, and that brings them happiness. And you caring for your loved one in that way should bring you joy. So if you would journal today a little bit of what joy caregiving brings to you.
So thank you for joining us today. If you have comments, please type them in the box below this. I know a lot of you watch this later in the day. You don't get to watch the live cast, so type in your comments. We'll see them and bring them up in a later live cast. If you have friends or other family caregivers that would benefit from this, please share this with them, and hopefully they'll benefit from it too. That's all we have for today. So Doug and Cindy, help me help Mama LiveCast. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow.